The U.S. military is escalating its pressure campaign against Venezuela, seizing 2 oil tankers, including a Russian-flagged vessel, in international waters. A move that's raising new legal, diplomatic, and constitutional questions. The operation comes as the Trump administration outlines plans to seize and sell Venezuelan oil while bypassing Congress, and after capturing Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. U.S. Senator Andy Kim was briefed today in a classified Senate session, and he joins me now with more on the questions that have been answered and what lawmakers still don't know. Senator, thank you for giving us some time. I do want to ask you about that briefing. What remaining questions do you have, both about the raid and about the U.S.'s endgame given today's actions?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I leave the briefing today with even more questions and deeper concerns than I had going in. They really did not answer any of the fundamental questions about the legality of this operation or continued operations that they are trying to take. I asked questions about what the legal justification is for potential future strikes, and they were ill prepared to be able to answer any of that. I will also say, based off of their briefing, that this is something that I take away from what they said, that this is something that the American people need to be prepared to deal with for potentially years to come. When they laid out their timetable, or rather the lack thereof of any certainty of how we pull out of this, I was left with the understanding that this is something that they expect to do for years. And I just think that that's absolutely something that the American people should have had ability to have a say in before all of this took on. I mean, this is potentially going to be something that costs us billions of dollars, potentially going to require extended military presence in the region. It'll take our resources away from other crises that we're dealing with. And this is exactly the reason why we should have had approval of this and have this come before Congress and the American people first.
Yeah, I mean, the video you just saw there of Secretaries Rubio and Hegseth today after that briefing said that the U.S. has tremendous leverage over the interim leadership there. Do you have any indication about how long U.S. involvement will last? I know you said you are under the impression that this will be a long game, but do we have any idea about that, about these boots on the ground, and also the cost? Secretary Rubio today said it won't cost American taxpayers, quote, anything.
Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the extent of the military campaign that took place, I mean, they were briefing about over 150 aircraft that were utilized. You know, the strikes that they undertook, all of that costs money. Having this incredibly large aircraft carrier and a nuclear-powered submarine, seven destroyers out there in the region, that all costs money, and also it takes resources away from other major challenges that we're facing around the world. So that is just absolutely ridiculous. And Congress should be thinking about that then when they're saying that they need money and resources for our military. If this costs nothing, then why do they come before us asking for hundreds of billions of dollars for these military operations? What I will just clarify is, as of now, we have no boots on the ground within Venezuela, but we have about 20% of the entire naval fleet of the United States military off the shore. I mean, this is an extraordinary level of resource that is there, and the risk that it incurs as it continues to stay there in the region. So those are the things. And to answer your question, again, in terms of how long this will take, I come away with the understanding that this will be something that we are involved in for years. When we ask the administration, okay, they say that this new leadership is compliant. Well, what if they say no? What if they do things that we don't like? Are we prepared to take on additional military strikes, boots on the ground? Those are questions they refuse to answer. I mean, we have asked, and they refuse to answer what comes next. So, you know, that is something they cannot just assume that this government will be compliant on all the issues that we want. Plus, Venezuela will have elections at some point. What comes next? How do we know for certain that we're going to be able to find a way out of this and not just constantly have a military presence and threaten the government of Venezuela for years to come?
Well, and just today, I mean, the military narrowly avoided a standoff with Russian naval forces in seizing that vessel. How close are we to a broader confrontation then with Moscow?
I don't know at this point how close we are, but it's certainly, these are the risks that we are getting involved in left and right. And it's not just about what is happening right there with Venezuela. We have a president, a secretary of state, and other leaders that are now threatening Colombia, threatening Cuba, threatening Greenland, threatening a NATO ally in Denmark. And I say that as someone who worked in Afghanistan. I lived and worked on a NATO military base alongside military members from Denmark, many who died working alongside us in Afghanistan. NATO came to our defense after September 11th. And the fact that this president, Stephen Miller, and other senior administration officials are threatening Greenland, and that did come up in our briefing today, and we deserve greater answers in terms of what this administration is trying to do.
You have accused the administration of misleading Congress, of blatantly lying, as a matter of fact. Has Congress just been sidelined at this point, and what actions can you all take?
Well, look, the congressional Republicans are intentionally sidelining Congress. So I think it's important not just use the term Congress, but to pinpoint where the problem is. I have called multiple times for hearings, public hearings from the Armed Services Committee, the Foreign Relations Committee, the Intelligence Committee, to be able to do this. Not a single Republican leader has put forward. They could do this immediately. The chair people of these committees, Leader Thune, the Speaker of the House, they could all immediately call for these hearings and be able to have on record for the American people to hear about how long this is going to go on for them to hear much of what I heard. Much of what I heard today in this hearing, in this briefing, could be made public to the American people. There were some parts that certainly have classified information, but much of it could have been said to the American people publicly. This administration is hiding behind these classified hearings because they don't want to be able to have this public discussion, because they know that the vast, 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 vast majority of the American people do not want America bogged down in another foreign crisis, especially when we have so many challenges with affordability and paying the bills here at home.
Very quickly, we're seeing reports of civilians being interrogated, journalists being arrested, paramilitary in the streets in Venezuela. How concerned are you that U.S. actions are actually worsening conditions for Venezuelans?
Well, this gets right back to what I was saying earlier, which is the Secretary of State continuing to say, oh, we can control this. The president saying we're in charge, that he's at the helm. No, that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's the level of hubris and arrogance on an epic level. And the problems, again, is when these types of actions happen in Venezuela, the question is, well, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to start striking? Are we going to take other military action? And the fact that this administration has no plan, as far as I can tell, and certainly nothing that they're willing to share, that leads me to be very concerned that this is a president that could very well take additional military action without the American people's approval. And I think that would be very disastrous. As someone who's worked in Afghanistan and Iraq before, the last thing I want to see is for our country to be pulled into another crisis.
U.S. Senator Andy Kim for us tonight. Andy Kim, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.